Yes. Alright, a few seconds. Alright. Hey everybody, thank you for joining us. It's Saturday. It is Disclaimers by Ed Johnston. Ed, I know we don't have a big intro. I'm sick, so you take it away.
No problem. Anyhow, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight and who's willing to listen to true education instead of all the myth that goes on around the world. And we do have a lot of it because most of the stuff is not true or made up. So I had a couple things. We had original topic. I'm going to get into that. But the other point is I want to get in why everybody's panicking with the bullshit of the federal government closing down. I like to explain some what they call real history for you folks. I am talking real history. So there's the point that people don't know what history is. They don't comprehend what the government is. They don't comprehend what the structure is of even the Bible. They don't even comprehend what the Bible really is. When it really comes down to it, they don't comprehend what life is about. That's the saddest part. We are realistically living today. And it's very disturbing. Before I get too far, make it clear that we are not attorneys. We are not lawyers. We do not take any claim to be foreign or domestic terrorists in that manner who rape, rob, and pillage. That's what I'm going to get in tonight with why the federal government closed down, if you really want to know the truth. When everybody wants to know the truth, that's what they claim to their children. So the real truth of why the federal government closed down, if you really look at the history of the federal government, Dave's here, so he'll bring up a couple of his numbers here in a bit. But when you look at real history of the elected and public employees union structure, it is actually run under the 1871 Vatican Christian religion. That's right, you heard me. Vatican and Christians are one and the same. Do your history. So by the Bible structure, and this is the true structure of the Bible, comes from England. 1871 is the British contract we had, so that way, basically, we're not still murdering each other in the streets. Well, that's what we're led to believe, but that's why the cops are murdering everybody because it's financially gained for the corporation. That is a fact. So the reason why the government, you're calling the government shut down, you have to wake up and realize the biggest part about the government. It is run by your Vatican, your Christianity, Roman Catholic churches. You heard me right. Roman Catholic churches and all Christian churches are the same thing. Because the Christian churches usually get a letter from the Vatican on how they describe to how the parish is supposed to work. Been around preachers, been watching this stuff for decades. It's there. It's true. They even had it brought up at public employees meetings in the Senate and Capitol. People get to know the truth. That is the saddest part. People get to know the truth. And so, because of the circumstances of the real truth, and that's what we're supposed to be doing, is educating the children on the real truth. Now, I put out a lot of information out even to the Amish community today because they're being told if they don't go on city water and electricity and give up their way of believing, even though that their way basically is going by the structure of the structure of the corporation system, that's saying that you're supposed to either live by the way we tell you or you're not supposed to have life. The one guy got 6 months in jail for putting a wind turbine on his property. People have gone to jail for putting solar on their property. Well, folks, you didn't claim your land. You're still paying the taxes on it. You don't own it. The corporation does. So you can't sit there and put something claiming it's yours when it ain't yours because you haven't claimed it. You didn't file for it. You didn't put it in existence to make sure you were the owner of it. And this is where people don't realize that we, the lawful bloodline American, own the government. We really do own the public employees union structure, but you have to file to prove this stuff. It's like I was talking to somebody dealing with the Bundy's case. And it's like, oh, God did this. It's like, you got to file to own you. You have to file to prove you are who you are. God ain't gonna do a thing for you. God is like Disney. It's fantasy world. See, the government closed down, and they're going to be closed down for a little bit, a few days, because they have to reset the debt process. They closed down so that way they could claim bankruptcy. Then they claim bankruptcy, and that's on your birth certificate bonds as well. And it really is on your birth certificate insurance bonds. So that way they can claim bankruptcy and own you, claim you, and you have no rights. It's a fact, folks. You guys look it up if you don't believe me. I mean, that's the point. I bring this stuff. Me and Dave have done this to you. We brought the stuff. We do the research. We're not sitting out here bullshitting ourselves or bullshitting you. It's like the word believe. Now, if you go by, and I use that word a lot too, but doesn't believe, when you actually break down the spelling, be a liar? Like the word slaughter. Here's another good one. When you drop the S on slaughter, isn't that called laughter? And, you know, I had a gentleman bring out a point to me today, too, and besides this, he brought it up to me. And I was thinking about this, too, and I've known some of it, but now, I'm going, he's got a point here. A little bit more than what I was doing, but see, when you turn around and drop certain letters and certain words, it really makes a different word. It makes a different spelling. It creates a new meaning. And that's the point, that people do not comprehend living in reality. Everybody wants to live because the Bible says this, the Bible said that. Well, excuse me, what does the Bible mean? You know, why does the Bible say what it says? What is really going on with the Bible? See, that's the one thing that people don't ask the question about the Bible itself. They really don't. That's the problem that goes on in this society, as people would call it. Me, I don't believe in society, because that means I'm supposed to do what the general populace says. I won't do it. Not me. I cannot comply. Of course, the other point, that when a cop pulls you over, and, if you do speak, the first words out of your mouth should say, "I don't contract." And that's exactly what they're doing, is they're creating a new contract for the federal government for we the people. And that's exactly what they're doing, is doing that right now today, is putting that structure in so that way they're creating a new contract. So this way they could tell you how to live, and you have to ask permission. This is not a joke how this stuff works. This is what I'm trying to get the people to comprehend. The government bankrupted itself again. That's exactly what it did. It bankrupted itself. So now they have to put in the new charters. They have to put in the new structure for the new government. It probably it might be open Monday. We don't know yet, but it depends on, they already had this pre-written, so now this way they could hold us hostage. And don't forget, Trump supports the Vatican, the devil, and all that stuff. He publicly made it somewhat clear not too long ago. Plus, he lives in New York City, that's owned by the Vatican, not part of the United States whatsoever. It is part of the Corporation Vatican of Washington, D.C. So it's interesting when you have news media, and I'm not going to go give that type of credit, but when people go out and slander one another and play these games back and forth with each other, and people get caught up in it, because these men and women, they spend billions of dollars of mind control on this stuff. They know that if they can get you arguing about religion, you forget what the right hand is doing when the left hand's picking your pocket. And they know it. Most people do have a concept of this, but do they believe it? Hell no, they don't believe it, because they even do it themselves. That's the saddest part of it. They literally do it themselves. And then when they get upset when somebody does it to them. How can you get upset when somebody does it to you when you've done it to somebody else? Doesn't make sense. It's not logical. As Spock would say, it's not logic. See, that's the point, that people have got to come to living in reality. Stepping out of the movie, watch the productions, as I always state. You know, I'm putting up a new video tonight on all 4 websites. We'll get that up on the site, and that explains the badge stuff, the Illuminati stuff. Excuse me. And that's the one thing that people got to realize. You know, the Illuminati is the Roman Catholic Church that funds your British Bible that everybody keeps going, believe the Bible, believe the Bible. Well, I'm sorry, I can't believe in a foreign government that is raping, murdering, and terrorizing my people. You won't do it. Can't do it. They're disturbing to me sometimes when people try to get me to go in that direction and say, you need to watch this, or you need to pray, and you need to read this quote. And I keep going, why would I waste my life on something that's not real? Like I said, drop the S from slaughter, you know, it's interesting. And the word believe, you know, be the lie. The spelling has a lot of circumstances. In this other video I'm getting ready to put up, I'm going to be putting that up. So people can sit there and watch this. You know, it's like that's the one thing that people have got to start paying attention to what the future is coming up to. If you do not own yourself when you go to their British courtroom, okay, and this is the point, you know, you get to learn how to file for yourself. You get to learn how to stay in the background, but you got to be smarter than a bear when you go bear hunting. Man, I'm just one of those guys that's just all over. Excuse me. Excuse me. Just bringing all this stuff out to the general public. You get all these guys on the internet saying, you need to do this and you need to do that. But not one of these people, one of these men or women actually practice what they even preach themselves. They all sit there and file for their rights, then they want to bitch when shit happens. They don't want to learn how to protect their family and file on their rights. No, they don't want to do that either. They much rather have something to bitch. No offense to some of the women. But it's like women in the Women's Crisis Creation Center. Women create their problems by choosing and being with the wrong man. Then they want to whine to the world because now we got something to whine about. And other women are so mentally screwed up, they go along with it. So are some of the men, because we've been so psychologically beat down by the stupidity of movies. It is stupidity of movies. And that is the one point that people have got to start coming to the reality. Excuse me. Excuse me. Long nights, short days. Anyhow, the reality of what's really going on in the country. So the government has, think about it. The government has been under the de facto system technically 1918. Woodrow Wilson signed over the structure to the government over to the Vatican. That was the Banking Act bill. FDR was the one who confirmed it under Executive Order 2040. These are things you need to read, watch, and pay attention to history. That's why I say, file on your land, claim yourself, learn the structures that some of the other men and women out there who are doing this when they bring certain things to you, who are not, excuse me, that are not out there trying to rape, rob, and pick your pocket. They're trying to do this because they have compassion. They care about you and your family. And that's where you folks need to be paying attention to who's caring about your family. Because you've got to realize that the public employees don't give a shit about you. Churches and ministers and all that shit, they don't give a shit about you. Remember, they make a living off of pain, suffering. They really do. That's how they make a living. Now the state of Oregon is setting out to put a new psycho ward in. So if you say certain words against cross-dressing, gender, you offend somebody by farting in a classroom, now they got the room to start putting you in just the same thing they did to Nazi Germany. No different. You know, it is no different. That's where people have got to start waking up. And if this is true, we got to file on Trump, because apparently Trump is waiving punishment for banks who owes money. Well, he has to do that because he owes them a lot of money. And people go, well, he's doing this, he's doing that. Well, people, Are you the government or are you a foreign agent? Are you elected and public servant that has to do what he's told? See, this is what I was talking to another guy this last week and dealing with the, police training. When police go through the academy, when they get out of the academy, they're supposed to sign a contract to the Constitution. When they leave that academy and they go to a city, county, or state, that contract that they sign in the academy is null and void at that point because they sign a new contract with the city claiming statute codes and administrative rules of the cities, county, and state. That includes sheriff deputies. Sheriff deputies have no lawful authority. The only one that has authority in each county only is the sheriff. That's it. There ain't nobody else in law enforcement in your county has authority. And the reason why I say law enforcement, because the sheriff is the law enforcement. The rest of it is statute codes, administrative rules to rape, rob, and pillage you, so that way you can keep casting a debt note that increases the national debt, as they claim, but that is taking the structures, not the national debt. It's creating America new debt under the bullshit guidelines of the Vatican. That's why Kennedy was assassinated. He knew that when he was going to put the greenback back in place. Once he put the greenback back in place, we wouldn't have any problems. We would have had 192 working in place today that you had to prove you were lawful, and if you proved you were lawful, you could have gone to court. Proved you're lawful, the case is dismissed. Mandatory. Mandatorily dismissed. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. But when you go to court and you start arguing these things, going, I know this and I know that, trust me, I've been there 1,000 times. Not just for myself. I've been there a few times for myself. But I've been through it 1,000 times with a lot of other people. I have watched the courts. I have even gone to court structures for people with DHS stuff for the Oregon State House of Senate members and House of Representative members. You know, that's one thing. I was always the guy that was always in the background. I wasn't going to take a claim to anything. I learned a long time ago. You know, a smart man keeps his mouth shut. Smart woman works with a man and keeps her mouth shut. And then that's how they protect the bloodline. You don't sit on the street corner going, hello, here I am. I'm a new target for you. Because and actually, people, you got to realize on the street corners, they've had face recognition. Recognition since 1990s. It's not new. When they were putting the little cameras on top of the telephone poles and all this shit in 1990s, they were already doing it. Now, because of the court system says that they couldn't sit there and hide behind the structure of what they did back then, now they have to be able to be publicly known. That's why they put the big cameras so you can see them. So in other words, you're saying you accept the terminology of that camera watching you. And that's where people go, well, that's okay. I mean, I know they're watching me. I give up my rights. And then you wonder why your door's kicked in and you're being shot and you're going through all this shit. You're being pulled over, you're harassed, you're paying God's fee to the court system that is the church. You violated that administrative rule. That's the church that set it up. Come on. How many of you have been to church and then when you do something in church, they spank you for it in the church? Publicly humiliate you in church. So wake up. Quit lying to yourself. That's the whole point. When people can start waking up and stop lying to themselves. See, once we start doing that, we can actually change this whole country around. No more BS. You know, it's like if the Bundys would sit there and file the criminal charges on these men and women who are involved in raping, robbing, and stealing from them. And it's simple. But they have to file it. They hire an attorney. They give up their rights as Americans. They're not Americans. They're public citizens, and they have to do what the court says. That's exactly what a judge does. That's exactly what an attorney does. Then people get upset. Well, they didn't do their job. They didn't do that. They didn't do this. Excuse me. Yes, they did. They work for the foreign country corporation called the federal government, no different than what they're saying the shutdown is. So now because of the shutdown, And that's the one thing because of the shutdown. Now we got to rewrite the stocks. We got to rewrite the internal mechanisms for each state. Remember, each state is claiming bankruptcy this week in their states. They have to. There's a way to change the funding and the structure to keep the dead man's hand going. Most of you do know what I'm referring to about the dead man's hand. You have to keep it going. And if you don't keep it going, you know, the government, the corporation, Inc. I'm not talking to government of we the people, because we the people are the first branch of government. But I am talking to government of the corporation, and they have to restructure themselves every so many years. What does it say in the Bankruptcy Act law? Does anybody ever read it? You know, anybody's been through bankruptcy, it's the same thing of a corporation, because even your body is a corporation and your body's a vessel. So when they go in and they claim bankruptcy, your vessel is bankrupt. And that's what they know. That's true. You go in and you claim your body is bankrupt, your vessel is bankrupt, so that means it was sunk. So the insurance company of that vessel has to pay off now. And that's exactly what the corporation is doing right now, paying off the damn debts by your birth certificate bond. And these men and women know it. See, that's what a lot of things that surprise me when I get into a lot of the stuff that people don't know it, and I get really stunned, and it's like, you know, to me, I give people too much credit. A lot of time I give people way too much credit, thinking they should know more than what they actually know. And that really is my fault. And I've done that all my life with a lot of people, even in relationships, when things I should have never done that way. But, you know, those are things that are foolish things that you learn in life. We learn in life. Oh, that's the one thing that I always suggest to people, you know. If you don't file for your rights to life, how do you expect to have a right? Having a right is not a privilege. As soon as you accept that reality, I mean, it's like what they did with the Waco deal. They come out with this movie and a 6-part series, you know, dealing with Waco. They got to keep it going, but they already know the truth. You know, I mean, I could get into all the stuff going on with the Bundys and all the stuff. It's like, you know, with Hellboy walking across the state of Oregon to California, and California back to Oregon. And it's like, you know, they're out there praising people, which I think, you know, they should for the kindness of the heart, what a lot of people have done for these men and women who are picking up on it. But how come they're not educating themselves to educate the people to protect themselves instead of keep going, we need to read the Bible. Oh, praise God. Yes, they're damn right I'm hard on the devil. And if you actually read the damn Bible, it even says God is Satan and Satan is God right in the Bible. Saint Nick is God, Satan. It says, if you type in Saint Nick sometimes. You know, and I did this over Christmas. I did talk show dealing with Saint Nick's and the Fright of Christmas, the actual Fright of Christmas. You know, and then everybody goes, well, let's do this for the kids, like Halloween. You give them candy so you rot their teeth out. Not only that, the candy rots out the brain. Shorts electronic circuits out in your brain. Do the research. The research. I've done this research over the last 40 years. You know, I've read the surveys. I've read the structure, even up at, you know, more than one area, not just at the Capitol. I've had people send me stuff over the years. I've been at different public meetings where information was handed out, and then the government says, the government employees will come up and say, well, the people didn't respond, so it's okay, we passed it. Like I had a senator, a very high influential senator, or actually it was a congressman, the federal government, and we were talking up at the Capitol just back in 1997. And I was talking about jobs and all this stuff and the security, and he's like, well, I'm impressed you know this stuff. And I said, but how come we're not using 192 yet? He goes, but the people want jobs. If they want jobs, they can't have a life. They want slavery. They just told you wanted slavery, so we're giving them what they want. That's like psychiatry. You know, people go, I need a psychiatrist because I'm not able to handle myself. That's what it means. You give up your rights. You're telling the people that you are ignorant, you're stupid, you're not responsible for your own self. That's what stuns me when people don't get how simple life really, really is when it comes down to it. It is so simple. But men and women make life difficult because we've been instructed to do this to ourselves. We've been mind boggled and mind controlled to do this basically to destroy ourselves. And that's what sort of stuns me. You watch people do this all the time who goes in and stuns themselves, who sits there and do this trauma to themselves. Then they get upset because things ain't working out. And then you'll have somebody that will tell you, oh my God, you stupid idiot. You cannot go around doing that because you keep doing that. That's called insanity by repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Well, it's like, so what is the point of sanity anyways? Remember, the thing is that when you put fluoride in your toothpaste, in your water, all that stuff, you have to come to the real conclusion. Not only are you poisoning yourself, but you're destroying your mind. That's why the Germans kept on feeding the structure of that in the foods to the military. And not only to the military, but they did it to the prisoners. So their scientists had a job. So this way their creation counseling has a job. So that way somebody else has a job and employment. Somebody's got to cook the food for the military. You know, somebody's got to be the medical personnel. It's like I have fun going into the hospitals today. I was just in the hospital dealing with some severe medical problems last week. Yeah, and it was interesting. I'm actually talking to the doctor about the birth certificate bond. And he goes, oh, yeah, he knew exactly what I was talking about. He didn't hide nothing. We had a nice 20-minute conversation just on the insurance bond. And it was like, yeah, we know we do this. We know that we're doing this. And he's like, so what else are we supposed to do? People want it. And it's really difficult when people are saying that they want religion. When they want religion means you don't want freedom. You want mind control. Each and every religion, Roman Catholic Church, Christianity, or whatever church you're fantasizing about, Muslim Mosque Church, all of them have to register with the city, county, and state. And everybody goes, well, you have to pay taxes. So if you don't pay taxes, you're going to jail. Well, look at the tax code. The tax code says, taxes are voluntary. Dave has got some information. I'm going to let him bring that forward, too, here in a few minutes. Because I wanted Dave to bring it up. We both know the truth on this. We have discussed it before, even today and in the past. And so this is the point that people have got to wake up and realize the new reality of what's going on in your home. So this is what sort of disturbs me when people sit there and they don't get it. And then they want to argue and fight and have all these arguments going on in their own home. And I keep thinking to myself, why would people do this to themselves? Why would they sit there and harm their children? Why would they sit there and do all the crap that they're doing to their own families without realizing what they're doing to their own families? I guess that's the point I should say, because most people don't realize the harm and cause that they're actually doing to their own families when it comes down to it. So, and that's the other point, like I said, the reason why we changed from Monday night to Saturday night is because, you know, I had 33 people that actually I could officially count that changed, literally changed their structure from Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and a couple from Saturday, all went to Monday night. So everybody wants to go to Monday night. Okay, we'll give them Monday night. All right. I just find that interesting because people are having a competition here with what I'm doing. Everybody's going for the audience. I get that point, but when you're sitting there going after different things that you don't even know what the heck you're doing, I mean, I got people all the time telling people to, oh, go get your UCC. We had a gentleman on last week in the talk show that brought up dealing with UCC. And it's like the UCC, look it up, called the Vatican, called the church. UCC never came into existence until, I think it was there after Kennedy was killed. You know, that's the one thing that you got to look at real history. Quit going on these things and these tangents that people get you running into without paying attention to the truth. It really is, because you're not paying attention to the truth. Most people don't pay attention to the truth. They don't see the truth. That's the part that is scary. People don't see the truth. It's like for 2.5 weeks, I mean, my phone was basically down. I had a couple good days that weren't really good. I would get static. That would be it. I couldn't get on the internet or do anything, have phone conversations for 2 weeks. It wouldn't work. That's what pissed me off. You know, I'm sitting here trying to get things done, and next thing you know, it's like right now my computer's playing games with me again. And at least I'm able to talk. You guys are not getting a squelching through it right now and all the crap through it. But this is the point that really gets to me, because they don't want you to know the truth. You know, go get a religion. You know, be an enslaved servitude. You know, pay your taxes. Show me the law that there's another guy that put up, I think it was $250,000 a few months back that said, prove me the law on taxes. And he put a $250,000 bank deposit in a bank for anybody to prove. Anybody could prove that there's a such thing called income tax. Well, Dave and I truly know the difference, and we truly do have that information literally on our on the new.org and tracker site. We literally do have that on the new.org and tracker site. So I do encourage people to go and watch this stuff, read this stuff, look at it. The stuff that Dave and I have provided in the past and what I'm continuing to provide, we're not charging for it. It costs me basically $100 a month to keep the website going. That's just the website. That's not the engineer or anything else that I'm paying or trying to pay out or trying to come up with things. That's just for the website itself, for .org and .com. I'm disabled. I don't have the resources. You know, robbing to pay Paul and stealing from, Susie to give to Paul. And then right now I got to look at some stuff because I got to come up because they want to come after me if I'm putting in an affidavit. But the other point, until the affidavit goes through, I want to make sure I can put the structure in the tax court, because I'm going to be I'll send in what left I have in my accounts after spending about $1,300 on me and the dog just last month. Dog had cancer, had to have removed. I have numerous doctor's appointments that I've had to go that were costing me $140, $150 to travel to the appointment, and I had 3 appointments, so 4 appointments, and that cost me, $600. So there went all my stuff that I thought I had, backed up and what stuff. For the medical condition. Tell you, they control that medical condition through Wi-Fi, through your cell phone, through your smart meters. I mean, they put a cell tower just up in the hills up behind my house. And I live in a county of 50,000 people. When I first moved here, 1988, it was like Timbuktu. In the wintertime, there was absolutely no traffic whatsoever. No traffic at all. Now all of a sudden, we just got traffic going like crazy. They put in a new highway, $300 million. That was only supposed to cost $129 million. I know, I was at all the public meetings. I even got them to notarize a statement up at the Capitol 15 years ago stating it was the end balance, and this is what they put in the actual newspapers. We're only supposed to be $129 million. And when I finally got it finished, it was $300 million. but everybody had to get a little bit more cut for their retirement. And then it's like this, what the federal government's doing. We got all these things, everybody got their cut. Now we got to go bankrupt it. Now we shift all the funds, and that includes the insurance company, folks. You know, your car insurance, your house insurance. It's all run by the federal government. Your insurance company or subsidiary contractor from and for the federal British government. The state of Oregon, let's say, for example, incorporation, is a contractor for the federal Vatican British Christian government. It's the truth. Christian and Roman churches walk hand in hand. It's all in history. People get upset about me, and I keep trying to tell them, prove me wrong. They say, well, the internet says Christian and they're wrong. I said, no, go back and do the real history back in 11, 12, and 1300s. When things were going on before Caesar was assassinated. Remember the assassination of Caesar. Everybody who stabbed Caesar were called, what was that? Patriots. See, that's the things that get to me is like wording. You know, you have to learn how to use the words and learn what the word means, and then learn what the word meant before it was changed 3 or 4 times by adding a letter or changing a vowel. Vowel, I mean, not valve. But they do this. And these guys spend millions to billions of dollars a year to keep you confused, and people go along with this. I mean, it's interesting. They had the live news coverage going today for Fox News for everybody walking down in front of the Washington, D.C. Oh, open the government again, crying that we need the government open. Well, we don't need the public employees. I sent an instruction that we need to fire 40% of them right off the bat. Close down all immigration programs. I don't care if you're a mommy, daddy, or child. Close them down. Ship them out. Cheaper to send them home than it is to feed them. And then that way, when the real start things happening here in a few years down the road, your grandchildren would survive. But all these people who believe in this Jesus crap going, oh, it's the world, and we're open to the world, and the world needs to do this. It's like, if you think the world is, go to the Vatican, go back to England, get the hell out of this country. Because when the shit hits the fan and we start being cannibals, like Japan and China right now, you buy human body parts in the grocery store. Reality check, folks. You know, human body parts have actually been detected in the Midwest, in the food chain, in the United States of 48 states. Remember, Hawaii and Alaska are not part of the United States. They're part of the corporation that was developed. Knowing what real history is compared to the fantasy we live, like Disneyland or a Bible. I'm hard on the Bible, yes. I believe in the Great Spirit, Mother Earth. Without man, the Great Spirit, there's no life. Without Mother to have life with the Great Spirit, there is no Creator that gave us life. You know, and everybody goes, well, the Bible gave me this, and it's like, you know, me and David have said this many times. Well, that's good, but show us where the Bible worked for you. Where are the people that stood for you with the Bible? Show them to us. We have a right to see it. You know, that's one thing I haven't seen any of this stuff where the Bible done this. I know in a lot of court cases that have been dismissed, I know that numerous men and women called and filed on clerks, judges, other structure that people don't even know what the hell their own. They don't even know what elected and public European Union is about. Technically, that's what we're dealing with. People have no concept to reality at all. If they had a concept of reality right now, you wouldn't sit there and go, I need a counselor because I have depression. Depression comes from radio secret waves called your TV, your microwave, your computer, your cell phone. Why do you think that the scientists finally took them out a year ago where they started coming out and saying how cell phones shorten out your brain and shorten out your electronics in your brain? There was 2 studies that were done by medical personnel that finally came out and stated that fact. That's why I won't have a cell phone. That's why my ex-fiance was so pissed off at me because I wouldn't get a cell phone. And she's like, "What, you think I'm going to track you and stuff?" I don't give a shit about that because we're in a relationship. I can't sit there and do that because, I might do the same thing to you. Want to know what's going on with you, so I'll call you. That's what a relationship is supposed to be about. Not this brain bullshit that we get taught today that you have your space, I have my space, and we're supposed to. It's like, people, if you're in a relationship, deal with it. It's like the government shut down, deal with it. And that's the point that you people have got to start waking up and accepting the real, true facts of what's going on around you. Now, the government shutdown is a damn good thing. That's the way I look at it personally, because if they keep shut down, then this way we don't have the problems we have. I would like to see 40% of the entire government shut down. People go, well, what about all those people with losing their jobs? Well, wake up, because most of those people are called what you call immigrants, foreign agents, don't have a right to be in this country. That's the one thing that gets to me about it. How come people cannot see the truth? So I get really amazed on a lot of this stuff that I watch this stuff and it happens and I keep going, how come people don't comprehend this or comprehend that, and how come they can't do this and do that? Ride a bike, go swimming, but it depends on your body, depends on your mind, depends on how you were set up to believe and think. And that's the point that men and women have to start standing back, looking at the production and paying attention. Because it's our responsibility, not a corporation to dictate to you. So the corporation just filed bankruptcy again. The last one, everybody goes, oh, we're all going to die, we're all going to be blown up, and all this stuff's going to happen. That was in 2008 with Obama, right? It's like right now they got this other march going, the year I am angry, the women who are marching in 2018. Going against whatever they're marching for. Well, how do you justify them? And they're all walking around with their heads covered in red capes. Red is British government, Roman Catholic Christianity bullshit. Remember? It's called the red coats. We're going to come and rape your women. We're going to shoot you. We're going to steal from you. Then we're going to get you to believe in the Bible so that way you do the same thing we did. They're marching going, health care is for everybody. No, it's not. Health care is not for immigration. This equal rights bullshit is only for lawful bloodline Americans. If you don't like it, get the hell out of our country. You come to this country and think that you have a right to put your ass in our country and come into my home and sit in my chair and tell me how to live in my home? Like I've been talking to many people over the last couple, prior to the last couple weeks ago, prior to when my phone was down for 2.5 weeks off and on. But I said, so if I do that, what are you going to do? And I've had 80% of the guys, 70% of the women I talk to said, I'll shoot you. Right answer. Can't argue that one. Then you get all these people on the street that are doing this, and if you walked in and did this to them, they're going to go, you can't do that. We want equal rights. Well, your equal rights is I can walk into your house and take over your home. That's equal rights. That's called commonwealth. So commonwealth means what's yours is mine and what's mine is mine. Look it up. Read what commonwealth is. That's where people don't get it. And everybody does the red structure, the red pill, blue pill. Know what the color means? We've been battling this shit for 250 years. This ain't something new, folks. We had a Republican and Democratic Party that was newly developed in this country. Primarily, if you do real history, it happened after the Civil War. Prior to that, there was no such thing as elections. And then we go, well, we need a right to vote. Well, if you ever do real history, and if you ever step out of the movie and get your head out of your caucus, women did vote back in the early 1800s. only after their man passed away in the land ownership. Allodial title went to the woman for the firstborn son. So the woman had the right to vote. Look it up. Learn the real law. Quit getting your head stuck in democracy of the devil's Bible. And believe me, there was a lot of strong women back then. They didn't play the games that the women here do today, going to the man. Well, if you don't do what you say, and I don't do what you don't do what I say, you're not going to get any tonight. Oh yeah, we get to have that carrot in front of the donkey again. So I mean, it's like stepping out of the movie, learning what the real truth is, and then we got to do the real truth. We can't live in a fantasy fake land anymore. I mean, it's like I've been watching some of these YouTube videos with all these transgender and stuff, and some of these movie stars, and their kids are doing this gay stuff and going in and having the surgeries to change them physically. Remember, their DNA will never change. Can't change. That's what gets to me. People go, well, I'm going to go be changed. I mean, there's been many men and women that have actually have had the sex change operation and then went back and wanted to rechange it. Even some at the taxpayer expense. I don't believe in that. Why are we paying for this? It's like I was talking to another gentleman going, why are we paying for abortion? Well, I do support abortion. Sometimes a woman could have been raped. She has a right to do that. She has a right even if she wants to cut the man's testicle off. She has a right to do that. The man had no right to take advantage of her. You took advantage of a man took advantage of another man. What would he have done? More than likely killed him. I mean, I'm sorry, folks. No, I'm not. I live in the real world. There is a difference of knowing the real world. I believe in supporting. I love to put my sidearms on me and walk through town. I've done it for years. And then next thing you know, I'm being threatened to do that, to basically comply. And, I mean, of course, I live in a community that don't give a shit about their own children. I've even watched parents give their child over to the state and then want to go fight for it afterwards. And I keep going how mentally stupid people are. You got to admit, these people are mentally stupid to doing that. It's like all these people who go on the structure dealing with our country, claiming these things of our country and saying that they have a right to our food, our structure, our this or that. They don't have a right to a damn thing. It's like our forest land. Everybody says it's our forest. Yeah, it is our forest. I need my deer. I need my elk. I need my birds. I need my chickens. I sure the hell don't need this bullshit of cutting timber down. There's your climate control change right there. You cut a tree down. You just changed the environment and just said that you don't give a shit. And then all these people with abortion, they drink soda pop, so you're drinking dead body babies. And that's okay, I can handle it. And then you start telling them that's what they're doing. They go, oh no, but I'm going to continue drinking the dead body babies. Send your soda pop and send some of your actual food today. And that's the point that gets to me. And then when some woman says she's going to eat the placenta and go through that, and then everybody goes, oh, you can't do that. You're going to be sick. I can tell you, folks, we've been doing that for generations, too. Now, some of the parents do. Most of the women have done that in the past. That's the woman's whatever deal. That's like the Indians would go out and take a bite out of a deer heart, and I've seen that. So, I mean, of course, I don't like taking a bite out of it because I can slice it up and soak it in vinegar and then flour it. I love it that way. But this is the point that we are traditionally living. And that's the point that we got to come to the point of standing up for our bloodline. We have to prove our bloodline is true. People say, well, why should I have to do that? Well, are you an American or not? It really is this simple. If you don't prove your bloodline, you have no rights when you go to court. And people go, well, I don't have to prove it. They have to know. How do they know if you didn't prove who you are? You have to prove who you are. The courts don't have to prove who you are. And I'm going to be getting heavy into that tomorrow night, dealing with this domestic terrorist called, oh, what the heck's her name? Oh, what is her name? She did this bullshit with the gay and lesbian deal. Miss Davis said, oh, my religion says that I can't register these people because my religion says I can't do it. What bullshit is that? You're a public servant. You're not entitled to have religion on the clock. Period. You're on the clock. You are to go by administrative rules that the public and the Senate and House has made. Fact. That's what gets me with these people when they do this stuff. You know, they go off on these tangents and they think that they're right, their religion, their this is more powerful than the next man or woman's rights. They're not, folks. Hate to tell you that. When you are a public servant, you have to go by the contract. Like an officer when he comes out of DTPS training, he does take an oath to the Constitution. Been around it, let's just say. And then the other major fact is very simple. When he goes to the city, county, and state, he takes a contract, so it basically disregards his oath he took as a public servant. That's how they get away with it. That's how the DAs say, well, we can't prosecute him for murder because of the contract that they have for their job to rape, rob, and steal from the public. That's their job, folks. Their job is to write tickets out and rape and rob from the public of the corporation called the British government. They work for the British government. And I have proven that up at the Oregon State House and Senate many times in public hearings. So it is a fact. So you have to pay attention to what the structure is. Like your UCC codes or the British government codes. And technically they're not yours when it comes down to it. But see, I won't use it. I got people on the internet go, well, Ed, under 192, House Resolution 192, you can write this and do that off. No, you can't, because under UCC code, you do it, it violates the federal law. The only way you can do it is own it, but I'm working on, and literally I am working on and have paperwork filed with the Utility Commission in the state of Oregon recognized. We're working on that. I haven't had a chance to get back to get the bill presented for the Oregon State House and Senate. See, when we're working with these domestic terrorists, as I call them in a lot of regards, you have to work with these men and women. That's the whole point. Remember, these men and women are your employees. And that's their job. Period. They're employees. They don't have legal or lawful authority. Like this woman over there saying, I have a right because of my religious belief. Yeah, when you're in your home, you have a right. When you're on the street, yes, you have a right. When you're in a church building, yes, you have a right. You're in somebody else's house that believes the same way, yeah, you have a right. If you're in somebody else's house that don't believe what you believe in, well, there comes a conflict and you might be asked to leave. But this lady, I am actually calling the court and recommending her do 30 days. Simple. She violated her oath of servitude. Her oath is to the Constitution of the United States not to have an opinion. It's that simple. So simple that you can't argue with her employment status. And if she actually reads her employment status, which I will be writing and serving the court, because her employment status says she's not entitled to have an opinion even with her own religion structure. I've got the court cases. I'm going to put it up. I have the administrative rules that even say it. I'm putting some of that right now with the Bundy's case that I'm putting out tonight, too, on Facebook. Dealing with the 13th Amendment and the paperwork I filed on Kate Brown. So, but anyhow, we're going to open up the floor. I got a little longer running off on the topic here. tomorrow night I am going to be hitting religion very hard and the structure why this Miss Davis needs to go to jail. Because if she gets away claiming religion right, then you're going to have the next one claiming that Sharia law has a right to be in your home. Wake up, dumbasses. This is what the truth is going to happen. You got this lady out there claiming that she has the right of her religion on her job. Next thing you know, you're going to have the Muslims saying that they have a right of their Muslim tradition on their job, and if they're a public employee, that means they could behead you. They can't arrest them and sue them for murdering you or murdering somebody else because their religion says they can murder. Oh, wait a minute. Christian Bible says you can murder too. King James Bible, in the Bible, says you can rape women, you can rape children, and you can murder, and you can't be punished for it. It's in the Bible. Also, too, the Bible actually states clearly that God is Satan and Satan is God. It says it right in the Bible.
All participants are unmuted.
So anyhow, Dave, you here yet? Is Dave here? Hey, Dave.
Didn't show up yet. He has been a no-show.
I didn't hear you.
He has been a no-show. He hasn't shown up at all.
Okay. Well, that's that. All right, well, let's open the floor. I'll keep my mouth shut and let somebody else go for a bit. Anybody like to throw in a dime or 6 cents? Okay. Well, nobody wants to speak up tonight. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to get back to the basis here. If somebody wants to speak up, we'll leave the board open right now. Just jump in and speak up anytime. But to make it clear so you comprehend, your federal government is the Roman Catholic Christian Vatican Church under a Roman Catholic contract of Christianity contract of the Civil War of the 13 colonies of 1871. And that's the point that you've got to start realizing what the truth is. You know, it's like all these people that are fighting all this stuff, and they want to go, you know, pray for the Bible, send us money, send us money. And it's like, you know, and then what are you going to do? Now you're going to tell the children that Jesus lived on money when Jesus never even had money back then? Money wasn't really a structure in that area unless you were in the big cities. Unless you went into the big city, you had no idea what money was. Back then it was coin. Really was coin. I mean, and that was the point. There was no paper. Paper money didn't come in until, realistically, I haven't done the research on it, but I think it really didn't come in until late 1600s. And I think the ones that actually started paper money, when it really comes down to it, if memory serves me correct, was Spain. You know, because even England didn't get into paper money until later on because the coin was the standard structure. I do recommend people that you pick up coins for your bank. They do have new dollar coins, and they do have half-dollar silver, still half-dollar silvers. I do recommend that you just go in and buy a $50 roll of silver coins, because sometimes you might be surprised that you find real silver in those things, too. They know it, but they can't destroy it because that's under their own bank administrative rules, so you can't destroy real money. So like I said, people don't read this stuff and stand up to it. So, but that's the way you know that the reason why the actual government was shut down was because switching finances. If they shut it down permanently, they know the riots on the street are going to be happening and we'll be shooting each other in the street for food, water. And some of them actually want that. Some of your elected and public officials were raised that way to do that, so we can do that to each other. That is not a joke. And if people really knew what was going on with some of that stuff, it would not be a pleasant, happy deal. So, I mean, anyhow, seeing that we got no one to speak, I think I've been going on a little bit tonight on this. I want to get some of these other emails done. I got 2 other instruments I really got to start working on. I know it's pretty hard on religion primarily on this, but religion runs your banking structure in your White House. Your Vatican Christian Church. And everybody goes, Roman Catholic and Christians are not one and the same. Do the research, please. Until you've done the research and you personally know what you're talking about, please don't speak out for something you don't know. To me, it's that simple. If you don't know the truth, don't speak on stuff you don't know. I've done the research. I've actually written on this stuff and turned it in the House and Senate myself. I've been on public hearings with the stuff on it. It's like these guys keep going to everybody else. Well, the Constitution ain't yours. Yes, it is, folks, because when you're 5 more generation, you have lawful rights and lawful circumstances and not privileges. But that's up to you. It's like your municipality courts. They write the structure for when you're traveling through town. If you're doing 30 and 25, you're going to be punished. But they already got you so damn convinced that if a child runs out in front of you, they're going to hit the child. So because you've been told that you're going to hit that child, you've basically told that you're supposed to be punished in your own mind. You're doing 30 miles an hour, no kids, you don't see a kid, nobody in town when you're going through town. Who cares if you're doing 30, 20, 15, 25? The thing is, if you actually read the vehicle code book itself, it says traffic is based on the number of pedestrians in the area, not the speed signs. Those are revenue generators. But the actual administrative rules for town with municipalities clearly states that your speed is done by basically how many people are in the area. So it doesn't mean you could do 60, 55 or something like that in the middle of town. But a good average speed is up to 35, unless you're on a byway or a highway or something like that. But through town, the average speed is 35. Even actually says it back in the old original DMV books. Now, everybody's got one of those old ones going back 30 years ago or something like that. Back in 72, I think, is when they really started changing that. And so if you got one of those going back there, you can read it. We'd like to get copies of it to put it up. But it does say it. And so that's the whole point of putting this information up on this website to keep this website going, so that way the information is there for your children as well. Just food for thought. It's just the things that we've got to think about to make sure the children are protected. If they're not protected, what future are they going to have? That is a real fact. And that's where people need to start thinking about these things. Because it's your children, not mine. Don't ask me to go through and punish myself for somebody else's child. Won't do it. I will not do it. It's not my issue. So with that, I think that we'll go ahead and close it down tonight. I sent out a lot of information the last few days. Like I said, my phone was down. A lot of things that have been happening because I've opened up some interesting conversations on filings that I've actually have done. So, and there's a couple things I have to go back and redo on some of the filings, but I'll be tightening them up a little bit more. It has been actually suggested. I will be doing that. But also, too, folks, remember, this is your structure, too. You need to start standing up and be a man or woman to defend your child. Because if you don't do it and you end up in a situation, it's like the thing is that you've got to protect your bloodline. Nobody else is going to do it unless you do it. And, I got a new video I'll have up on the website, on my Facebook site, and we'll have that up on the site here sometime, probably tonight, more likely tomorrow. Probably up tomorrow. And so the whole thing is to pay attention to our children. It does not take a village to raise a child. It takes people caring, like neighbors. And if you actually look what a village, if you go back to the village people, wasn't that all about gay songs? And wasn't YMCA a gay song? Didn't people catch on? I don't care about the gays. I don't care about the lesbian. If you are, that's your right. That is your right to be that. But we don't want to see it in the street. I don't want to see it in the street. Have more respect for yourself. Write a contract between both of you two. Learn to have respect for each other. Once you do that, that might change a whole bunch of structures. Because we could actually change life if people want to live a cleaner life, wants to have this, wants to have that. Well, you got to make it happen. Like all these people, their kids are being stolen all around the world. And everybody's wondering where their kids are going. Well, check your foster parents' homes. Check your state agency. They're getting shipped. They actually are being stolen from the states and shipped to another state. Shipped out of country, too. The Philippines are getting a lot of kids stolen literally off the streets. Right away, right off the streets. And that's a true story. And how they're doing it is because they're shipping them to America and Canada and selling them on the open market called, what is that agency? Department of Human Services, Resources. When it's called Department of Human Resources, remember, you are a resource. So long as you're claiming that you're a resource, you have no rights. They can do anything they want. But that's up to you, folks. You got to deal with it. So, I mean, these are things that are actually happening. So, like I said, I plan on getting into the structure of why this woman should go to jail for not honoring her oath of servitude. And that even goes back to the Treaty of 1213 with the Magna Carta of 1215. So, anyhow, with that one, seeing that nobody wants to speak up tonight, and we'll just call it an evening, and you all have a good evening. May the Great Spirit bless you. May Mother Earth give you some life, and may the Creator look over you.
Well, thank you for listening to the disclaimers by Ed Johnston. It is January 20th, 2018. Thank you for listening to us, and catch us tomorrow at the same time for Education by Ed.